So I'm doing the armhole. It seems just a little bit wide. What we're doing is we're just doing a stitch all around the edge, and what that will do is it will close up the sleeve from, and I'll give you the two comparison. On this one, this is a stitch that's quite close to the edge of the cut, and what I'll do is I'll give you the comparison between the two, because on one side we've got the stitching done, and on the other side it's just the arm is as it is. So if you look, it's closed it off that much.
Oh, so that does make a difference.
Yeah, it decreases.
Yeah.
It decreases that stitching. It sort of brings the fabric in, consolidates it and brings it in
but
together.
it's not a gather as such.
It's not a gather.
Yeah.
This won't be visible. You know, when the piping is done on top of that, it will. It won't. You won't be able to see it.
Right.
Okay. But what it will do is, you know, the arm hole, because there's nothing being attached to this. There's no sleeve or anything being attached to this. You know how sometimes you wear a dress and it's a sleeveless dress, and the armhole is like gaping.
Yes, yeah, and it looks a mess, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it looks wider than what it should be, and that normally this stitch is done around necklines before you attach a collar on or before you attach piping on. Now with this one, when we did piping on this one, this was already gathered, so it was already closed. We didn't need to do it. Now if we were going to do piping just on its own, then we would have done this kind of stitching just to stop the neck from over gaping,
right,
just to stop it from being overly wide, you know, because what it is, there's no reinforcement on this. Sometimes even reinforcements are done on sleeves, okay, where you might have नो इस साइज नहीं एक फ्रिज ने उसने क्रीम पर यही ने वो क्रीम इस फ्रिज काट के इस्तेमाल कर छोड़ो custard niche. Yeah, it'll just make it thicker, more creamy. You'll have these cooking all sorts. So bits of cooking in there as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there we are. That's done on one side. We'll do the same on the other side, just to close it up a little bit. So the stitching is just slightly narrowed down. I've not got a very wide stitching.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that's actually made so much difference.
Yeah, it will close up, it will take away about an inch on either side of the sleeve, which is good for, you know, it gives you the ease, it won't pull.
So will it sit better as well if you've got that on?
It will sit better. So now we're gonna, we ran out of fabric. The initial dress had a slight bit of a frill attached there. Now we haven't got no fabric left to do that. So we're going to do straight piping.
Are these the ones, Jan? No.
Yeah, those.
These
small
ones.
Yeah.
And what are those again? How many inches would you say that was?
Well, we can measure it.
I'll just measure
it. It's about 2 inches.
So I can only find a big stick.
Oh, the other one. No, they look the green ones. Do you want it in centimetres or do you want
No,
it in
inches is fine.
Inches
just an idea.
I think it's 2 inches.
About 2
Yeah,
inches.
exactly 2 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, exactly 2 inches.
Yeah.
I normally just take a guess.
I'm going to go on and try it. I forget sometimes what you've said.
Now there's a few ways of attaching this piping. You can either attach it. Do you remember the way I told you last time?
Yes, double fold.
Double fold and turn it towards the right side.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can have a narrow piping where you're attaching it on the right side, and the underside you're not really bothered where the turn takes, where it turns, and you can do it quite narrow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now on that dress, I think it's quite wide And I think we'll go with the wide this time.
I don't mind if it's wide.
I think we'll go with the wide this time, so that it looks more in line with what we've done on the neck.
Right, yeah.
The reason why we needed the wider one on the neck was because it had excess fabric because of the gathers. We needed more of a wider width to get all that excess trapped in.
Yeah.
You know, and it would have been a lot difficult now to get all that excess fabric trapped in. Now with garments that are made factory made, they use a specialist foot for doing this kind of thing. Okay. So don't start right at the end. We've got plenty of fabric, and so we're better off doing it just a little bit away from the edge, so that it gives you a little bit of fabric to play around with.
So the pack is at the bottom.
The piping's at the bottom.
Yeah, the dress is on the top. Is that?
Yeah.
I was getting mixed up with this. I know it's a silly question. That's the right side, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the right side. And we've started. We always try and focus on try and start from the front of the garment rather than the back, and work towards back way. Now you'd be going opposites. So if we start on going towards the back on the one, you'll be starting at the back in the other one and going towards the front. So it's always like where you start off, you'll finish off on the opposite side of where you started.
And do you always use 1.5 as a seam allowance? Do you,
yeah, most of the time, yeah, that's like a standard. Now, can you see, it almost looks like there's a gather there, but it isn't.
Yeah.
There's no gathers there, it's just...
You've only single fold. Have you just single folded that, Jan?
No, it's double folded.
Is it double folded?
Yeah, the bias is double folded.
Right, yeah.
So once we've done that, we're going to go back to the beginning and then we'll turn that. So we go back to the beginning, keep the turning towards the outer side.
That's still the right side facing upwards,
Yeah. So you basically, what you're doing is, you know, all your excess, if there's somewhere where there's like too much threads or anything, try and trim them away. Otherwise they'll start showing. So try and fold. See?
Yeah.
And then lift the foot up, just straighten the fabric out. If you feel like it's going slightly wider and less, you can lift the foot up and just, can you see there? It just looks like I've got a little bit wider fabric.
Is this the same way as you showed me last time then,
Yes,
Jan? That's the same.
Yeah, it's the same method.
Yeah. Same method for the arms as for the neck.
Yeah.
You might use a wider.
It's actually easier doing it on the arm as to what it was on the neck. And the reason was because of the gathers. You had quite a bit of fabric, which you know, quite a bit of fabric over here that you were trapping as you were going along.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this is it. At college we were taught to use bias binding, what you'd buy, but obviously you can adapt this to everything. Every
with bias binding, if you're buying ready-made bias binding, two things to note. One, you can't always get the colour that you want because it's a ready-made one. You have to go by whatever the stockist has, unless you're making the bias binding yourself as well.
Yeah.
And two, normally the quality of the bias binding that you can find doesn't have a very good quality, long life, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
It's normally the cheaper version of the silk that's used for that.
So it wouldn't wash.
And when you wash it, sometimes it ends up threads end up coming out and it becomes tatty.
So would you never use it? You always use this method?
Sometimes if I'm in a really like a hurry and I can't find anything else, and if I'm doing a job which you know, I know that I'm really not going to get the wear out of it.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm making something for Inaya and I know she's going to wear it like a couple of times, and I haven't got the time to be messing around and, you know, making it too, then I'd end up using that.
Yeah, that looks lovely though, doesn't it? That's nice.
Do the other side as well.
And you wouldn't need to join those bits up like you did with the neckline, because they'll just
no,
go into the seam,
they'll go in the seam.
so it's
yeah.
easier.
Yeah, they'll just this the left off. Oh, it's not that one. I'll just do the exact same, except like I mentioned, this time we're working from back towards the front. I did, you know, I have a separate channel where I did some of the English stuff, and obviously I've got a couple of friends and a couple of girls that know me, and sometimes they'll come and I'll stitch for them. And she made me make a Marilyn Monroe dress.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, and it was quite a bit revealing. So I had one comment yesterday saying, you should be ashamed. Oh. You're a Muslim woman, and how can you make stuff like this? It's not something that I'd wear, but you know.
No, that's it. You wouldn't wear.
Yeah, so it's like if somebody requests something, you're sort of like fulfilling their requirement.
Yeah.
So I get judged.
do you enjoy doing something a bit different like this? Because you wouldn't make sort of, this is quite a Western.
I do enjoy it because it gives sewing is sewing. It doesn't matter, you know, the basic. I mean, like the biggest difference between something that a Westerner would wear and a Muslim would wear is ours would be more covering.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the styles in the Western world are quite revealing. So maybe, you know, I'd be making a sleeveless dress here, whereas I wouldn't make. I'd probably be putting sleeves on a dress.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So if it's a sleeveless dress, and if it's some Asian client who's wearing it, then I would be adding the sleeves rather than taking the sleeves off.
Yeah, because a lot of the Asian girls, they'll buy sort of things from Asda, River Island, or they'll
yes, they will, and then or they'd wear something with it, which would be the covering.
Yeah, yeah.
But if we're going according to sewing, then there's no difference in, you know, the neckline. You would do it the same as you would do it for an Asian person.
Yeah.
If you were doing some piping like this, you know, whether it was an Asian person doing it or whether it was an English person, you know, it's the same thing. There's no, you know. But having said that, I have got a lot of viewers who are English and who do watch and follow the methods.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe if they don't want to add the sleeves on, they'll use everything else the same. But
have the sleeves on if they. Yeah,
but leave the sleeves off.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe use a method where they'll pipe it or use something else, or maybe do short sleeves, or you know, or maybe not do a straight dress. You know, there are a lot of English styles that nowadays that are you know, redesigned and made into Asian styles. So you would take a typical English style and you would do slight modifications to it, where maybe the neckline wouldn't be as deep cut, maybe the length, maybe, you know,
the arms are,
the arms would be, the cleavage wouldn't be as deep.
Yeah.
And that's the
that's lovely.
And so what I'll do now is I will just press this, and I will also mark it out for where the waistline is going to go.
The elastic, yeah.
And then I will do the side seams and one side seam and do the elastic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't close it on both sides because then it just makes it a little bit difficult to. So I would close it off from the one side and then add the.
These are the elastic tips I need, because these are the things I do in there now.
You will follow the tips, and you will perhaps cut your sewing time, perhaps something that you would not have thought of, and someone who's done it repeatedly again and again would have found a way of doing it an easier way.
Yeah.
You know, and then rather than following that same old method all the time, and that's what it's all about, trying to cut down, you know, use somebody's tips to cut down the time that you're doing, because that time then you can use it to do something else.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll turn the iron on and